Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 49ers Golden Ticket. My name is Gabriel, and today we're going to unveil our 2021 mock draft. Now, my mock draft is actually going to have all 9 picks in it, but I do assume the 49ers to make at least 2 trades up during the real draft, one into potentially the second round, and then one either into the third or fourth round. I assume they're going to target a cornerback and some offensive line depth, but then again, we don't know what superstar players in their mind might be falling, and they go up and grab that player. Now, before we dive into all that NFL news, I do want to touch a little bit on the 49ers and this offseason. In my opinion, this has been one of the most exciting off seasons in 49er history, as well as just being an overall great and underrated offseason. We have a complete starting roster that most believe is Super Bowl ready if stays healthy throughout the season. As a Super Bowl ready roster, we also have the 3rd pick in the draft that's going to allow us to take the quarterback of the future, which, as mentioned in previous podcasts, will then bring the salary cap down because, for example, Jimmy Garoppolo's $25 million comes off the book, and the whatever rookie quarterback we get to step in will be on a rookie contract, so it's not going to be a huge salary cap hit. I want to talk about also the 2 signings from the Raiders that the Niners have made this past week, Arden Key and Maurice Hirsch. 2 very, very exciting defensive linemen that I enjoyed coming out of the 2018 draft. I thought Maurice Hirsch was actually a first-round prospect, but due to a heart condition that they found during the draft process, he fell all the way down into the 5th round, which could be why that the Maurice Hirsch signing to some doesn't appear to be a big deal because he's not a first-round player. But in my eyes, he is a first-round talent, and the fact that he has made his way now onto the stacked 49ers roster and stacked 49ers defensive line, I'm very, very excited about the direction. Arden Key, however, is a pure physical pass rusher. He has all of the physical and athletic abilities that you want. Now, let's see if Chris Kosaric, someone who has tied those things together for people in the past, let's see if he can tie it together for Arden Key as well. He has put up a lot of pressures, but he doesn't have the sack numbers. So maybe that's another reason why this signing went underrated. Wayne Gallman was the 3rd signing that the Niners made this week. He's the old backup running back for the New York Giants. He played behind Saquon Barkley, so he never really got his chance to shine until, of course, Saquon went down with injury. So Wayne Gallman is a veteran backup running back on our team, and for me, for some reason, I just feel like that means they're going to get ready to start a rookie quarterback. With all the veteran pieces that they've added on this team, it is a Super Bowl ready roster, and it's just hard to imagine this being a Super Bowl ready roster without a quarterback who has starting experience like Jimmy Garoppolo. But it does seem that the 49ers are preparing for life without Jimmy. Looking over some of the news this week, the first thing I do want to talk about is actually a very serious subject. What's going on out with the Pittsburgh Steelers? The other night, their starting cornerback, Justin Lane, was pulled over and charged with a felony gun charge. Now, I don't have all the details on it. I believe he was pulled over for a routine traffic stop, doing over 80 in a 65. But as far as the gun goes, I do not understand all the details on that. It hasn't all been released yet either. But a felony gun charge is no joke. I assume the Pittsburgh Steelers are doing their due diligence to get to the bottom of this, because potentially this young man's career could be over. Moving on, I want to talk about some of the transactions that were made this week. The Chiefs pulled off a trade with the Baltimore Ravens to bring over Orlando Brown Jr. Orlando Brown Jr.'s father is a Hall of Fame left tackle in the NFL, and Orlando Brown Jr. himself wanted to be a left tackle, and that's why he requested his trade. He was playing right tackle out in Baltimore when the left tackle, Ronnie Stanley, went down with injury. Orlando Brown got a taste of what it's like to play left tackle, and he wants to keep doing it. He requested his trade, and the Chiefs bit. I don't know what they have given up, but good for the Chiefs to solidify that offensive line that was really, really bad in the Super Bowl last year. They've revamped the entire thing. They've got now Orlando Brown Jr., Kyle Long, who came out of retirement. He is a potential Hall of Famer. His dad is a Hall of Famer. So that is going to be a really, really good signing for them at the guard position. Austin Blythe, Joe Thuney, and then they're going to bring back Duvernay Tardif, and he was a doctor. Another signing this week was Cordero Patterson to the Atlanta Falcons. They're going to make him a full-time running back. I think that's very interesting as he was originally drafted as a wide receiver, played well his rookie year, and then slowly started to lose production. He was drafted by the Minnesota Vikings, if I remember correctly. Anyways, the Vikings began to use him in a multitude of ways, including running back. So did the Bears. And now the Atlanta Falcons have signed him as a full-time running back. I'm very curious to see what that turns into. Larry Fitzgerald has also retired from the NFL. The longtime Arizona Cardinal great is now hanging it up. He is going to be in the Hall of Fame as soon as they allow him. 100% a first ballot, first recommendation type. Larry Fitzgerald is the gold standard on how to be a professional athlete. And congratulations to that man and his Hall of Fame career. And I look forward to one day watching him get inducted into the Hall of Fame. Of course, other retirees this year is Drew Brees as well as Phillip Rivers. And to be honest, I expect all three of those guys to make it into the Hall of Fame together as first ballots. The Browns have also signed Jadeveon Clowney, giving them a very, very potent 1-2 punch at the defensive end positions. Both Clowney and Myles Garrett were number 1 overall draft picks in their respective draft classes, and now they're on the same team wreaking havoc on opposing quarterbacks from the edges. I am very, very curious to see what the Browns do this year. They have a stacked roster. They have a first-round quarterback who should be able to lead that team as far as that team wants to go. So the Browns will definitely be somebody to watch out for this year in the AFC, and they will be competing for a Super Bowl. The Eagles did not commit to Jalen Hurts as their starting quarterback this offseason. In fact, during their press conference, the head coach of the Eagles actually had something very strange to say. He said that he's going to walk around the locker room and look for competitive people by playing rock, paper, scissors with them. And that's just a very strange thing to tell the media. But he says through playing rock, paper, scissors, he can tell the competitiveness of somebody. So according to him, they're going to have competition at every position on the roster, and that includes quarterback, which is why Jalen Hurts was not committed to. In my opinion, Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback on that roster. He was electric last year, and I'd like to see what he can do in his sophomore season. He did take over for Carson Wentz, who is now the Colts starting quarterback. Pivoting from Jalen Hurts, Sam Darnold actually did not get his fifth-year option picked up like we all thought he did. The Panthers came out and they said that they will wait until after the draft to pick up or make a decision on Sam Darnold's fifth-year option. So that means they made a trade for a quarterback that maybe they don't believe in. And if somebody like Justin Fields falls to the Carolina Panthers at 8, maybe they pull the trigger on that and they let Sam Darnold ride the bench. It was a very, very interesting comment, considering how much capital they gave up for Sam Darnold. I just couldn't imagine them wanting to go a different direction. But again, this is the NFL, and anything is possible. Speaking of quarterbacks, Justin Fields has been over-evaluated, so much so that it has now been leaked to the public, and it should be none of the public's business, that Justin Fields does battle with epilepsy, and he's been managing it for years. Now, it's anticipated that Justin Fields is going to grow out of his epilepsy, but potentially that could be another reason to scare teams off from Justin Fields. All these reports coming out about him, trying to get him to fall down the draft board, has just been ludicrous. He's been overanalyzed to the point where he looks like he might not even be a first-round pick in some mock drafts. Now, I don't believe that's the case. I think Justin Fields is the second best quarterback in this draft, but it doesn't mean he's for the 49ers. However, Justin Fields should not be dropping down draft boards, and I'm curious to see what happens come game day. Now, diving into other news, some really big things started to happen this week. The NFL announced that they will be allowing fans back in the stadiums. We're not sure how many yet, but the fact that baseball has fans in the stadiums and they are lighting it up right now, I cannot wait to see what the energy is back on a football field. Also on a football field, there's a chance that there is a number change coming. Tom Brady was actually very, very upset about it. If you're curious to see what Tom Brady had to say, check him out on social media. But the wide receivers will now be able to wear single digits, so will linebackers. Defensive linemen will now be able to wear, I believe, in the 40s as well. So the numbers are going to be changing all over the field, and it's going to make it harder. Well, at least this was Tom Brady's argument. It's going to make it harder for quarterbacks to recognize the numbers on their team, because typically in the 80s, that was your wide receivers, right? Then you started to get some in the teens. Well, now they're going to allow that to be single digits. Same with defensive linemen and linebackers. I'm not sure what their number changes were. I didn't do a whole bunch of research on it, but I do know that their numbers will be different, and maybe that'll make it more difficult for a quarterback to recognize. Voluntary workouts have gone underway, but most players and teams are opting out because they are voluntary. But due to COVID, a lot of people are still skeptical, which is strange considering most of them, I assume, have their vaccine by now. All right, guys, now welcome to the main event. Before we dive into it, however, I do want to mention that I will be making all 9 picks currently that are in the NFL draft for the 49ers, but I anticipate them to not make 9 selections and to actually trade up a couple of times in this draft. I do not have that mocked because those things are unpredictable, but I do anticipate them, as mentioned before, moving up into the 2nd round, as well as moving again up into the 3rd or 4th round. So, the first pick in the 2021 NFL Draft at number 3 for the San Francisco 49ers, I have them selecting Trey Lance, quarterback from North Dakota State University. Currently, he sits at about 6'4", 230 pounds, but he has room to grow. The kid is only 20 years old. Now, Trey Lance doesn't have a lot of starting experience in the NFL, as he's only played 17 games. In fact, when he came out of high school, he was not originally recruited to play quarterback because he wanted to play at Minnesota. They offered to move him to safety, linebacker, positions of that sort for somebody his size. They didn't view him as a quarterback, but instead the kid bet on himself. His work ethic is no joke. He bet on himself. He went to North Dakota State University out there in Fargo, and he's put himself in the conversation to be the number 3 quarterback taken off the board. And in my opinion, that's who it is. Now, if you don't know a lot about Trey Lance and you don't feel like watching the film, go watch his pro day and watch the way that the ball flies off of his hand. You can literally hear that thing whistle as it goes through the air. As Daniel Jeremiah said, power, power, power. When he played during the 2019 season, because his team was not able to play during the 2020 season, when he would throw, would sort of change his eye level, right? So I guess he would get up on the tip of his toes. Well, that's something that they have worked on to keep his eye level steady, and that has since improved his accuracy according to the quarterback coaches. So at pick number 3, I got Trey Lance, and I have no problem with it. Trey Lance is an absolute monster. Now, I do want to say that there can be an argument made for Justin Fields and Mac Jones, of course, but in my mock draft, I give them Trey Lance with the idea that he's going to sit behind Jimmy Garoppolo for 1 season before he takes over the reins in 2022. Now, with the number 43 pick in the 2nd round of the 2021 NFL Draft, I had the 49ers selecting cornerback Tyson Campbell out of Georgia. He's a height, weight, speed guy. He's 6'2", 185 pounds, ran a 4.38 at his pro day. The guy is athletically gifted as they come. He was a 5-star recruit out of high school, and in my opinion, he's one of the most technically sound cornerbacks in this draft. His footwork, his patience, and his intelligence. The knock I would say on him could potentially be his ball skills, because if he could catch, well, you know what they say, he would play wide receiver. So in my opinion, Tyson Campbell, the number 3 cornerback on my board, okay, falls to the 49ers at number 43, and they run to the podium to grab him. Great pick by the 49ers. Now, with pick number 102 in the 3rd round of the 2021 NFL Draft, I have the San Francisco 49ers selecting Michael Carter from North Carolina State. Now, Michael Carter is a very electric running back. He formed a wonderful 1-2 punch there in North Carolina with Javonte Williams, who some people feel might be more talented. But in my opinion, Michael Carter is the kid. He's got breakaway speed. He's only 5'8", so that will concern some teams. But I think CEH out in Kansas City. Now, CEH gets lost behind his blockers, so linebackers and safeties aren't able to come up and make the tackle. And he's very, very patient, so he waits for the hole. He hides behind his blockers, then he bursts through. And because of his short legs, he's actually able to make faster cuts, and he can get up to full speed in a jiff. Michael Carter is very, very electric. He ran for 45 touchdowns in high school in 1 year. Sorry, he didn't run for them all. He received some as well. And that's some of the other acumen that he brings to the 49ers, is being a fantastic pass-catching back. He catches the ball away from his frame, and that's very important. So he's shifty, which could turn him into a good route runner, and then he catches the ball with his natural hands away from his body. So Michael Carter is also good in pass protection, and he's another intelligent player. That's 3 highly intelligent players in a row, all of them with great skills to match. I very much look forward to see what Michael Carter can do in this 49ers offense. Moving into the 4th round, I have the 49ers at pick 117, selecting guard out of Illinois, Kendrick Green. Kendrick Green, in my opinion, is an absolute beast, a physical specimen, as you can say, but he hasn't played offensive line for very long, although he is a 3-year starter. Previous to that, he played defensive line in high school, so moving him to the offensive side of the ball and blocking is much different than being on the defensive side of the ball and rushing or clogging holes so you can stop the run. Now, Kendrick Green has made that transition and has solidified that Illinois offensive line. And in my opinion, he will be a good guard in the NFL, especially for the 49ers, because he's going to get a chance to learn behind the already stacked offensive line that the 49ers have. And then next year, he can come in and be very productive for us. Kendrick Green, 6'2", 305 pounds, an intelligent player. You can tell based on his move from the defensive side of the football to the offensive side of the football. He does need to work on his technique. He is not a polished product, but he's very athletic. He's great in the pass game, and he's great in the run game, and he can move, and that's very important for the 49ers scheme. He does struggle to find moving pieces to block, but if a linebacker is waiting for the hole to open up and he has to get to the second level, Kendrick Green can pancake him. I look forward to seeing what he can do on the offensive line in 2022. Kendrick Green, welcome to the Niners. Round 5, pick 155. I have the San Francisco 49ers selecting yet another cornerback, Tate Gowen out of UCF. He's about 6'1", 6'2", 185 pounds. The kid ran about a 4.49 at his pro day. He did opt out of the 2020 season, which is why there isn't very much tape on him. So he's a very raw prospect, but athletically, he's intriguing. He does have some playing experience, and he played well. He shut down players. He has fluid hips, good hands, good ball skills. Like I said, there's just not very much tape on him. So he's kind of an unknown, which is why he drops in this draft. As mentioned earlier, a lot of players in this draft, I believe, will drop because a lot of teams opted out, or players opted out, of the 2020 season. So the only film on them is from 2019, and some people are just uncomfortable with drafting a player who's been a year away from football. This kid, in my opinion, has been a year away from football, but training for football, for the NFL draft. Tate Gowen, in my opinion, is a steal here in the 5th round. I think he has tremendous upside. And if we're set at corner, he's versatile enough to move to safety. Tate Gowen, welcome to the Niners. All right, guys, sticking in the 5th round, I have the 49ers selecting at number 172, Richard LeCounte, safety out of Georgia. Yes, he solidified that back end for a great Georgia secondary that did include our 2nd-round pick, Tyson Campbell, and then another potential 2nd-round pick for maybe us if we move up, Eric Stokes, and then, as mentioned, LeCount solidified it there on the back end at safety. LeCount himself is a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. He's built nicely at 5'11", 185 pounds. He did run like a 4.76, so he's not the fastest, and that could be the knock on him. But boy, is he a workout warrior, an intelligent player, and he studies film. When you watch him play, you can tell he's the first on the field to read and react to a play, and that's why he's always in good position. But yes, at the next level, his speed could hold him back, which is why he falls in this draft. But Richard LeCount, in my opinion, is a very good safety, and maybe we just put him in more blitz type packages where we use him like Budda Baker, play him in the box, somewhere where he doesn't need to be as fast out in open space. We got players who are quick. So put him somewhere where he can be more natural, and he will be a big time playmaker for you. Welcome to the team. All right, guys, and now making the 49ers' final pick in the 5th round at pick number 180, I have them selecting and sticking to the theme of secondary, Marco Wilson, cornerback out of Florida State. Now, Marco Wilson is a very good corner with some decent length and nice athleticism to match. He's got great ball skills and good technique. Marco Wilson, however, does have a bad temper, most notably his play against LSU to lose the game in the championship because he took the receiver's shoe and threw it. That cost the Florida Gators the game, and LSU Tigers went on to win because of that one play alone. Marco Wilson has a bad temper, and there's definitely some concerns about his character, but his play on the field is phenomenal. And that's why I have him slipping to the Niners in the 5th round at pick 180, and it's great value. Marco Wilson, welcome to the Niners. Moving into the 6th round, I have the Niners finding another weapon for their offense, filling that slot receiver role. I have them selecting South Carolina wide receiver Shai Smith. Now, Shai Smith is only 5'10", about 180 pounds. But the kid is quick and can move. He can beat you vertically. He can beat you short. He can beat you out of his breaks. He's considered a yak receiver. And as you know, yards after catch, we already got the yak bros on the Niners between Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle. So adding Shai Smith to the yak bros is definitely something I'm looking forward to. I think it's a wonderful addition for the 49ers, and I think he's exciting. Plus, 49ers like players out of South Carolina. So why not? Now moving into the 7th and final round of the 2021 NFL Draft, the Niners have selection number 230, and I have them picking center out of Stanford, Drew Dalman. Yes, this kid, in my opinion, can come in and start for us right away at a guard position, but if he wants to sit and really become a stud and learn behind Alex Mack, this is a great opportunity for him. But Drew Dalman, in my opinion, is someone that should have gone higher in the draft, but didn't because of previous injuries as well as limited playing time from Stanford. And that seems to be the knock on the quarterback from Stanford as well, Drew Davis Mills. He has not enough playing experience and not enough game tape for scouts to truly evaluate, which is why he's falling in the draft as well. But Drew Dalman is somebody that can come into the San Francisco 49ers, and if he stays healthy, will start for us. Great pickup in the 7th round. Welcome to the Niners. Huh? What was that? What? You guys thought I was done? Oh man, I actually put together a list of a couple of undrafted free agents for y'all to check out. The first one is going to be Tariq Black. He is out of Texas, but originally out of Michigan. I watched him on that All or Nothing show a couple of years ago with Jim Harbaugh, and he stood out to me. He was a freshman at the time, but Tariq Black is a 6'3" wide receiver, and I think that he possesses everything the Niners need. Now, the knock on him has been injury. He broke both of his feet, and that's why he transferred from Michigan to Texas, and it was to get a new start because Michigan started bringing in other wide receivers to replace him. Nico Collins being one of them, who went earlier in this draft. Nico Collins is a very good wide receiver, somebody that the Niners might target in the draft, but Tariq Black is an undrafted free agent who I think can start for the Niners at that number 3 spot, and then of course fill in on the outside when needed due to his size. Tariq Black, welcome to the Niners. Sticking with that Texas theme, we're going to bring in another wide receiver out of Texas Tech as an undrafted free agent, TJ Vasher. Now, TJ Vasher is a 6'6" wide receiver with all the speed and leaping ability that you want. The problem with him is work ethic and is he motivated? People question whether or not the kid wants it. They compare him to Dorial Green Beckham that way, somebody who fell out of the NFL very quickly. TJ Vasher, if he is motivated and can get it together and wants it, could be a very, very special player. He reminds me of AJ Green. I got him coming to the Niners and it's an undrafted free agent, and hopefully Kyle Shanahan can motivate him, or maybe Jimmy G's pretty face. Who knows? Another undrafted free agent I have the 49ers selecting is Puka Williams out of Kansas. He's a running back and an absolute playmaker. The kid is electric. He ran a 4.38 out his pro day, but he is small. He's only 5'10 and 170 pounds. He's not going to hold up and take a lot of hits, but he's electric. Somebody who can spell the running backs that we have, and the Niners love fast playmakers. Think Matt Breida. This kid, in my opinion, is a better version of Matt Breida, and he might get drafted, but I don't think he does. And if he does not, he's definitely somebody that will attract the 49ers' attention, and I can't wait to see him in training camp. Puka Williams, welcome to the 49ers. And now our fourth undrafted free agent coming to the 49ers is going to be Royce Newman, tackle guard out of Ole Miss. He's about 6'5", 310 pounds, so maybe a little undersized, but he has good power for his size, great technique, strong hand placement, and I think that's somebody who can grow into his frame, add more weight, and still be a very versatile player for us. I think he could step in right away and be a swing tackle, but I do not think he can step in right away and be a guard for us. He can fill in as needed, but right now he needs to spend the time learning behind Trent Williams and Mike McGlinchey. And who knows, maybe he takes over for McGlinchey if we don't pick up his fifth-year option. Royce Newman, welcome to the 49ers. Finally, saving the best for last, I have the 49ers selecting as an undrafted free agent the brother of All-Pro Fred, Troy Warner, safety out of BYU. Now, the kid isn't athletically gifted as Fred Warner is, but he's just as intelligent, and you know Fred Warner is sharing things with him. So in my opinion, this is a win-win situation for the 49ers. They get a position of need, they get somebody who already has chemistry on the team, and somebody who is going to mentor this kid. Fred will absolutely mentor his little brother into the NFL, especially into the NFL on the 49ers. Troy Warner himself is a good safety, and he has the ability to be very good in the NFL. A couple of athletic holdbacks, but I think maybe an NFL resume, training with his brother on a consistent basis could help change those things. Troy Warner, welcome to the 49ers. All right, everybody, just a few more days until the 2021 NFL Draft, and that's going to wrap it up for our show. Thank you all for joining us today at the 49ers Golden Ticket. Again, my name was Gabriel. It was a pleasure to be with you all today. If you got any questions, hit me up at 49ersGT on Twitter. Please like and subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, and let's have some good 49ers discussions.